You know what's funny about I just wanted to like quick get like just like a regular news story about that. And so I just was like Googling condoms Hamas, and I was like, what the fuck? What is all this? It automatically changed it to condemns Hamas, which made me laugh, because I did not. I mean, it's not a crazy leap for an autocorrect, but I typed it correct anyway. It's like, no, you can't possibly mean condoms and Hamas. That's insane. You mean all the people that constantly talk about condemning the righteous freedom fighter group.
Yeah.
Didn't freeze, but my God, shit is running so slow, especially when I have my other monitor open. I just oh, shut up. For Christ's sakes. Shut up, Democracy Now's Amy Goodman. Shut up, Trump. Just pause yourselves. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it live.
Fuck it, let's do it live.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe, a podcast whose path is a strange and difficult one. It is 11:36 in the late morning Korea Standard Time, Saturday, February 1st, year of our Lord / the Snake, 2025. Currently listening to the previously digitally encoded and disseminated vocalizations of me, Joshua Nomen Mutatio. And all the way from the Imperial Core of America's Dream Factory, aka Hollyweird, California, is Tim J6 Mafia Buckner. I'm liking the new handle this week.
Nice. We riot shitters. We riot shitters. We don't stop. We riot shitters. Get it? You get it? I'm always excited to be back on the only podcast that is Brian in the Posane. Crazy insane. I got Posane. How you doing tonight, Josh?
Doing good in the land of deep pulls to sketch comedy from the 90s.
Yes.
What would you call them? Lessers.
Yeah.
I'll go with lessers.
B character.
Lesser knowns.
Yeah. Bit players. Yeah.
There was something I was like, I knew that might come up on the podcast this week, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, this is just going to lead us into another thing about Mad TV cast members.
You are now listening to... Yeah.
You are now listening to Mad TV, yeah.
Talk, yeah.
There's got to be a Mad TV podcast, right?
Well,
Somewhere.
They're listening to it right now. This is Mad About TV.
The best liberal podcast on the Mad TV liberal left.
Yeah.
Now, see, as long as TrueAnon keeps leaning into this, we're a liberal podcast now. We're going to go the opposite direction.
Nice.
We're more Maoist than Maoist at this point.
I'm more of a meowist. Forget what I'm saying. Got the kitty ears.
You got the cat ears. That dovetails into another thing that's going to come up. Mr. Hassan in a Catboy play.
Oh, nice.
Being dunked on by Jackson Hinkle, sort of indirectly. Anyway, the Mad TV
Stinkle
thing that I
Hinkle.
thought of was Joe Rogan had Brian Callen. Is that his name? Yeah. You should know this. You like podcast crew.
Oh, yeah. I
rip on that guy.
Yeah.
Of Fighter and the Kid fame, of
Yeah.
Charged with rape, I believe, fame.
Yeah, I don't know that guy that much, but I know him a little bit from that stuff.
He came off as like a sane person or whatever, even though he sucks so much. He's just like whatever, like a conservative asshole. But on the Rogan podcast, it was like right after the initial wave of fires that took over the news out in your way. When Joe Rogan, in all seriousness, presented this idea that one of the homeless guys who definitely probably started all those fires, bro, was found with, he's like, they found him with 5 cell phones and now I can't even remember what it was. I think it was like a United Nations credit card.
Yep, that makes sense.
Did you see that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was I think what probably happens a lot on that show. I don't know. I just see the little clips here and there. Jamie was like, yeah, that was that was Pepe Lover 1488 on Twitter, just totally making shit up. He's like, oh, all right. But yeah, the Matt TV guy was smoking a cigar, trying to be all cool. And he's like, I don't know about that, Joe. I'm a little skeptical. I got to say, I'm a little skeptical. But
yeah, right. I mean,
UN credit card.
Yeah, let me just put it on my UN credit card. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound true, but maybe, right? Who am I to say that it's not true? I'm not Joe Rogan.
I'd give it a little more credence if it had any publication beyond some random dickhead on Twitter and nothing else. But yeah.
Right.
Well, there's the Mad TV corner for you. Got a lot of corners coming out these days.
Corners all over the place.
Let's say a happy Lunar New Year to you all, a holiday that is widely celebrated around the world, just not in the United Snakes of America.
Not in any. We don't celebrate Muslimic moon god holidays in America. Sorry about that.
We had 4 days off over here in Korea for Seolnal, as it's called, and I also learned that it's the year of the snake.
Cool.
In Chinese year.
There's the Chinese zodiac. I don't know it that well, but I was okay. This is fucking. I don't even want to start getting into this really. So, the podcast that's on the Violent People website that's called Violent People Radio, they have a common recurring theme that they love to talk about the Saw movies.
Okay.
So they talk about it quite a lot. I've only probably seen the first one and legitimately do not remember it that well. But so I was on the Saw fandom wiki, just reading about stuff and the plots because I was bored, kind of thinking about it. And I saw that there was a whole big part of it that was the main character the main villain, his kid dying, and that he had a meticulous plan for his kid to be born in the year of the pig. And then you talking about the year of the snake, and then there's the year of the rat, and there's so many years in the Chinese zodiac of animals that have negative connotations in the West that it's it would be interesting to think about or to understand, because I said, I don't know much about Chinese culture when it comes to that stuff, that they don't look at it that way. In Chinese culture, they don't think of the pig in the same way that we do in the West, or snake or whatever, because they have big groups of people. Everyone born in this year is represented by this animal. So you're not going to be well, you know, all people that are snakes are fucking, you know what I mean? They're snakes or whatever. Like, you get what I mean? Like, so yeah. It is kind of interesting, or like the rat or whatever. It's like, it's interesting to think about that. Like, the animals probably don't have the same connotation because there's just so many large swaths of the population who like are by birth year, like in some way think of like themselves as related to those animals. So they're not going to be like, yeah, all snakes are fucking terrible. I was born in the year of the snake, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to look into that and see, like I mean, I don't know how long the zodiac, the Chinese, has been around, but I also imagine there's probably some like negative connotations about certain animals, but you can like, you know, there can be like a duality there as well. But I don't know. But I know what you mean, like especially like nowadays, maybe like. But I don't really know. But so much to get to. The slop bucket overfloweth with all the sick, sad, hilarious news that's fit to digitize. And a lot of it, of course, I guess maybe predictably at this point, in this time warp of Trump 2.0, like I literally have to remind myself like how many days have gone by since the 20th, because it really feels like so many more than it actually was. But it's not even that. I was saying just the other day, like how I was shocked to realize that they like apprehended Luigi like 5 weeks ago, I guess. And it just seems like I was like, that can't be right. I had to like look it up. Breaking news, time is odd, and maybe it's just a matter of aging, but maybe it's more, because a lot of people of all ages seem to report this odd sense of timeless time. Let's see. What do we got first here on the old list?
Oh, the Brian Cullen chat wasn't on the list?
No, it was not. So far, this has all been free associating.
Yes.
Actually, I'll start with the more like earnest thing.
We're starting the Earnest podcast, folks. We mentioned it last time. We are doing it. Ernest Goes to Podcast. That's going to be the name of the series. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
I'm going to do minute by minute breakdown of the Ernest movies.
In fact, does that not exist? That has to. I'm going to look that up. I don't remember if we looked it up last time.
There's no way a minute by minute one exists for Ernest.
No, a podcast called Ernest Goes to Podcast. Yep, there it is. It does exist. All right. Looks like there might be many of them. At least 3.
Nice. We should try to work our way into the Ernest podcast industry. Yeah. So I guess jeers and cheers to the authorities in Zurich in Switzerland. They jeers for abducting, like just literally jumping this guy and like throwing him in a van style thing. Ali Abunimah, the founder and like chief editor at Electronic Intifada, one of my favorite news sources, especially for things related to Palestine. Ali Abunimah is a Palestinian. I think anyway, he's British Palestinian, whatever. He was there to like do some conference with a group that invited him, like a pro-Palestinian group, and it just happened to be at the same time that the Davos satanic rituals were going down, including Mr. President Herzog of Israel was there, and I'm assuming that probably had something to do with the decision to just like abduct this guy and throw him in jail for like 3 days. But anyway, longish story shorter, he was released after 3 days, so that's good news. And then sort of friend of the Electronic Intifada, the Gray Zone, they did a little bit of a deep dive on the Swiss official who was responsible for jailing him, who called Ali Abunimah an Islamist Jew hater at one point. And he unsurprisingly has like deep ties to Israel and is just like a rabid Zionist fanatic. So no big surprises there. Just wanted to say glad he's out, because he's a cool guy, and I really like what he contributes to the world, a la journalism. But speaking of Palestine, condoms out for Hamas.
Yeah.
Hear about this, folks.
I've heard it's really bad. This is bad. We shouldn't be doing obviously, because this feels like it's intentionally trying to counter that thing where they were taking the nut out of dead Israeli soldiers to try to make more. They're like trying to make you have kids even after you die. And these Palestinians, they're trying to, make them not have kids right before they get killed.
Yeah, so our favorite guy, Mr. Musk, he started this apparently, or I guess it really got started by the new press secretary, the new Trump press secretary. I forgot her name, Caroline Levitt, maybe. Going off pure memory here.
That feels anti-Semitic, but okay.
Why is that anti-Semitic?
Because she's the one doing the press, and you picked a Jewish last name instantly. I don't know.
I didn't even think of that name as Jewish for some reason, but I guess you're right. Yeah, it's like got like Levi in there. In any case, she came out.
Oh yeah, I've seen this bitch. What is her name?
She was firing off hard about this obvious bullshit story that has negative evidence in its favor. But it really, I think, even if I didn't have it confirmed that Elon Musk started this through his Doge outfit there, it just sounds like a, teenage Chan member, a 2chan, a 4chan, an 8chan type negatively funny, negative comedy points level of trolling bullshit. But of course, also a ton of idiots believed it and ran with it, or like did the outrage cycle with it, which is funny in itself. But
was there a lot of like incel backlash? They're pissed off. Like, I don't even get pussy, and these fucking goddamn terrorists.
These Hamas chads making me feel bad.
Getting all the pussy. And they don't even have to pay for it or whatever.
The Hamas Chad versus infidel virgin is a very real dichotomy, folks.
I like that a lot, actually.
Male loneliness is real.
Yeah.
It's a real epidemic. So yeah, I forgot what someone did the calculations, but like $50 million worth of condoms is insane in itself. Yeah. It's like 500 billion condoms or something.
Right. Well, they probably got a lot of the Chikara condoms, right? That are like, they got like weird gimmicks to them. They got a bunch of like, the ones that vibrate, the ones that have the different kinds of fridges and
all kind of flavors.
Well, yeah. And then I was just thinking, like, what about like if it's haram? Like, what can they be made out of? You gotta have the right. So they could be expensive condoms. That could be part of it too.
The only thing that could have pushed it further, this story, is to say they were watermelon flavored because, watermelons.
Sure, yeah.
Anti-Semitic condoms.
No, how could the watermelon be anti-Semitic when the Israelis invented the watermelon thing?
Well, they took it back.
Oh,
but before that.
Well, no, because don't remember, they didn't. The thing about the Jews is that they never take anything back because it was originally theirs. The other people were misappropriating it from them to begin with. But you know who's not? You know who's not using any of these condoms is White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt, because
I wanted you to weigh in on her binary status, actually.
It says here on her Wikipedia page in the personal life tab that she is married to Nicholas Riccio, who she recently gave birth to their son on July 10th, 2024, and Mr. Riccio is a real estate developer 32 years her senior. So we're going to have to go ahead and say that he is canceled. That is a unacceptable age discrepancy there. He obviously groomed this poor young woman who's now being forced to be the White House press secretary. So we can't blame her for anything. She's a precious angel who's been gaslit into thinking that she supports MAGA or something. I don't know. And on the binary, I don't know. I've seen videos and stuff of her like recently. I guess maybe she's, not my type, I'll say. But I would say she's probably conventionally attractive to a lot of people. She's just not my type.
I'm with you there, basically, yeah. I think I was like, I was trying to like see, I was like looking at different angles. I was like, come on, give me a 1 on the button. I just couldn't make it happen. But anyway, whatever.
The last two are much, much better than when it comes to the binary situation.
I have such a visceral hatred for the French one.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone deep into the shit.
Yeah. This is one of our main features on the podcast. Always has been wanting to fuck White House press secretaries or not wanting to,
or at least the binary there.
Yeah.
I saw this idea floated that perhaps what the Doge office idiots, if they latched onto anything, it could possibly be, and I don't even believe this to be true, but it's kind of funny if it was. The federal government did subsidize family planning stuff to be sent to Gaza, a province of Mozambique. So maybe they just saw that and were like running with it. But
that makes sense.
But also, it wasn't $50 million either. So, no, they just pulled this shit out of their ass. Obviously, there are a couple things from last week I wanted to like speed run through here. So I guess we'll just do that now. Donald Trump calling for a cleaning of Gaza, an ethnic style cleaning, you may even call it.
No, he just wants them to rake the forest, like he said we need to do, so that we don't have these fires.
He just wants to mow the lawn, rake the forest, all kinds of fun ways to describe it.
Cut the tall poppies or whatever.
Yeah, he was basically just like, with his 8-year-old brain, was just like, we got to get him out of there. It's just a big mess. Have you seen this place, folks? He's like, actually, it's like he saw pictures of Gaza for the first time just last week. He's like, it's dirty. It's like crumbled buildings. Oh my God. So he's calling on Egypt and Jordan.
I love the idea that like from there though, Trump like breaks into the Richard Carlin bit and he's like, it's crumbled building. Have you ever thought about the fact that it's called a building? It's like, no, thank you. I'd rather be in a built. I feel like I don't want to be in if they're still working on it. No, thank you. Yeah,
that would be some real high level thinking there for Trump. And he's just like, it's dirty. We got to clean it. We got to clean it up.
Well, he is, of course, famously a germaphobe.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly really probably what inspired him to speak that way about Gaza. Just like, ew, yucky, it's unkempt. What are these Gazans doing to their own cities? Oh my God. He just has no idea what Israel is or anything.
He tweets. He tweets a picture of Gaza all bombed out, and it says, "I know it smell crazy in there." Parentheses, the genocide.
Oh boy, yeah. Trump would get a big kick out of that joke. He may have back in the old Twitter days. No, but yeah, he like very pointedly used the word clean or cleaning, whatever it was exactly, and called on Jordan and Egypt to take in all of the Gazans, maybe 2 million of them left at this point. I think that would even be a stretch. But then he also, in again classic Trump form, just was like, I'm a real estate genius. So he has to like throw in like the beautiful coastline and how you could really make something out of it, really make something beautiful. So yeah, don't think for a moment that I'm like unfairly not giving him credit for wanting to rebuild Gaza or something. That is not at all what he was talking about. He's like, get him out of here. It's bad, guys. So he also like put a big like wet blanket on the previous fake optimism about like the ceasefire. He's like, I don't think it's gonna really pan out. But hey, real estate minds just chugging along here a mile a minute. So don't worry. I'm gonna fill my pockets on this one.
Good idea.
And then there's some. Well, you know what? Fucking skip that. You can listen to Chapo Trap House for that one. I didn't tell you this, but the ones that are highlighted with a sort of eraser pink color are. Let me see. Chapo just released an episode and like look at the description and just like highlight the shit that they've already done. So it's less priority.
Well, speaking of things they've done on other podcasts, I was going to do my opening bit was going to be the only podcast that says that overt white supremacist policies are not ideal. Because that was a good, another podcast has done it bit, that I sent you that little clip of earlier.
Yes, the red scare scrounge up of the week.
It doesn't fucking matter like anything else, but did you like listen to that? Can you imagine fucking saying that? Like, it was like in the context, they're literally talking about like getting rid of DEI and this and that, and like the argument was Anna being like, oh, well, if you get rid of DEI, it's still not good because it's still disincentive or holds back, handicaps white people. And then Dasha, like, because she's a fucking moron, can't figure out even what, like, the context of that means. She's like, well, how or whatever. And she's like, well, inherently, then it, like, favors Asians. And that's not good, right? And it's like, so then she has to say, you know, well, there's no way to get around that unless you just do inherently white supremacist fucking policies, which it's like, yeah, like, say the quiet part out loud, literally, openly, but then being like, and that's not ideal or preferential. She says that, then has to catch herself and be like, to me, because she doesn't want to alienate her listeners who might be listening to that and go like, yes, it is. That is preferential. We do want that. She has to be, well, for me, I don't think that that's, but you know, that's okay. You're allowed to want that. Is basically what the to me inherently implies. Is she saying to her listener base, yes, of course, it's perfectly fine for you to want inherent white supremacist policies to be enacted by your government, but it's just not my preference. Can you fucking imagine that? That podcast has gone fucking insane.
Yeah, it's like she's also kind of just saying it to her co-host, like, oh, like, no offense, I know you're into that,
right? Yeah,
explicit white supremacy shit.
Yeah,
as well as being like a PETA advocate.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, she is Jewish, so.
Huh?
She is Jewish, so she doesn't want people eating pork. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, beyond Palestine to, yeah, okay. So much for the speed run. Me.
We got it.
Trump also, what feels now like a year ago, because like I said, this just a million things just being thrown against the wall here, confuse the enemy. And it's not the worst tactic to dominate the government and enrich yourself, right? Just throw all the crazy at everyone at one time, and they can't sort it. They can't juggle it fast enough. Trump urges Russia to end the war in Ukraine and threatens sanctions. Whenever you see Trump threaten sanctions or tariffs or taxes, just assume he said all three because he thinks they're all kind of the same thing, more or less. But he threatened Russia directly in this kind of long, stupid truth or tweet, whatever it was. He said here, I'm not looking to hurt Russia. I love the Russian people and always had a very good relationship with President Putin. And this despite the radical left's Russia hoax. We must never forget that Russia helped us win the Second World War, losing almost 60 million lives in the process. Okay, this is just, again, classic Trump shit. 30 million is already a huge number, but he's just like, double it, just double it. Like, there's not 60 million Soviets killed in World War II. It's just not. Like, there's even debate about, like, I think it's like 27 million. Either, like, whatever. Once you're getting into the millions, it's all kind of like, yeah, that's a huge consequential number. But yeah, I just think that little I mean, it's not even a little detail, but like, I don't even think I heard people commenting on that part of this, because there's, you know, he goes on to say more. But anyway, I just thought that was funny. All of that being said, I'm going to do Russia, whose economy is failing, and President Putin a very big favor. Settle now and stop this ridiculous war. It's only going to get worse. If we don't make a deal, he put deal in quotation marks here. If we don't make a deal soon, I have no other choice. Is that just him referencing, like, how he likes deals?
That's like putting a trademark on it. You know what I mean? It's like my trademark deals, Donnie's deals. Everyone knows Donnie's deals.
But he doesn't realize that it comes off as him saying, like, there's no real deal there to be made. Like, I'm just going to, like, threaten you into this. I have no other choice but to put high levels of taxes. Here we go. This is exactly what I was referencing, I guess. Mm-hmm. Taxes, tariffs, and sanctions on anything being sold by Russia to the United States. You can't tax Russia. Yes, you can do tariffs, whatever. But anyway, I love
you have to. Just, like, you simply must
waltz into any country and just start, like, taxing them domestically. Like, I'm going to change the Russian tax code. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's basically it. Of course, what he loves to say, let's get this war, which never would have started if I were president, over with.
That's true.
And so, yeah, I mean, probably to the chagrin of the resistance liberal set, things are not going swimmingly between Russia and Trump at the moment. Just like they weren't in reality back in the first time, like the first go around Trump 1.0, but that's pretty much all there's to say about that for the most part. So much for this, like, I remember now too that he was of course like just, out there big dicking around like, I'm going to end the Ukraine war before I even take office. And then he kept changing it. He's like, day 1, day 2. And so much for that.
He hasn't gotten it yet?
Yeah, the magical deal making hasn't just tricked Putin as he imagined it might.
Get there.
I like, that wasn't a Trump thing. That was a Bush thing. Bush was like, I looked into his eyes. I looked into Putin's eyes and I could see that he's a good man or whatever. Trump also, this will call for a little video clip here. Again, this feels like a decade ago, but it was just like maybe a week ago, maybe 10 days ago. I don't even know. He was like shitting on Spain. I can't even remember the reason why. I don't think they really give the context in the clip.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll just play it. I don't think I need to explain it and play it. Listen to him school this dumbass fake news peddler on international relations and the BRICS economic alliance. Good. All right, Donnie Deals, tell us about Spain.
Thank you, sir.
What can we expect of the countries in NATO that spend the least amount of money, like Spain, France, below the 5%?
Spain is very low. And yet, are they a BRICS nation?
What?
They're a BRICS nation, Spain. Okay. You know what a BRICS nation is? You'll figure it out. But, and if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay, but we're going to put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States. You know what the BRICS is, right? You guys know. Brazil, you know what I'm saying, right?
Okay. And yeah. I think here's the main difference between the two styles of senility between Biden and Trump. Trump you can never crush his confidence, no matter how senile he gets. He will just bring this confident like oration to everything he does, no matter what level of absolute bullshit is coming out of his mouth. Like my favorite part of that clip is probably how he goes from asking a question to making the most definitive statement. He goes, Spain is a BRICS nation, isn't it? Spain is a BRICS nation.
Which it's not.
And on top of everything, he's factually totally off base. They're not even, I don't think they've even had the offer extended to them like many other countries have. Like there's like a list of sort of like, there's the big head honcho BRICS nations, and then there's kind of like partner nations, and then there's like people like thinking it over on a not like a waiting list, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, I just thought the way he's like talking down to that guy in the matter of going from curiosity to, you fucking idiot, you don't even know what BRICS is, do you? Don't worry, you'll figure it out. It kind of, you almost kind of need the video to fully appreciate the clip, because his body language is just so like laid back and confident. It's really tremendous. It's something. But then he also elsewhere went on to just rattle off some totally insane bullshit plan that he's just like made up in his mind, like on the spot probably, about he's going to just lay 100% tariffs down on all BRICS nations, which I'm pretty sure if you add them all up together, the official members of BRICS, it's like 55% of the global population. Like it's not some small rinky-dink outfit that's like, in vain trying to challenge like the dollar domination on the globe. Like they're becoming a robust power, I would say. And I don't know. I think I'll see like full de-dollarization in my lifetime, I imagine. But
the petrodollar will probably die. Yeah. I mean, that'll be first.
It'll take some severe licks, is what I'll say.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it already is. Okay, final part of the supposed speed run. So this was so long ago, before Trump even took office, if you can imagine anything that far back, when Biden, at the last moment, he took Cuba off the terrorist list, the state sponsor of terrorism designation there, which is objectively a good thing, but the timing is so shitty and so Biden. It's his big fucking fuck you as he goes out the door. Part of his many big fuck yous, as we kind of talked about over the weeks. Because of course he knows Trump's going to immediately reverse it on day one, which he did. So it's just like, that's pure dabbing. There's no other way to see it, I don't think. It's just like, fuck you guys. And especially since, like, I don't think they didn't actually come off the list under Obama, but it was like heading in that direction. Like relations were being normalized. I don't think they came off the list. I can't remember now. But anyway, but the list actually does matter a lot. Like it involves like a lot of sanctions and stuff that like kills people. Like it just kills people in Cuba. There's no way around that part of the reality of it. Just like this 60+ year embargo on Cuba is murderous and crazy. And most of the world, what is it? Every year in the UN, like on an annual basis, they put forth a resolution. Every single country on earth backs it, except for the US and Israel. And then Ukraine like abstains every year. It's like the same thing. And it's to end the embargo and like give Cuba a fucking any bit of a fighting chance at improving their lives. But I just thought that was very shitty of Biden. Obviously shitty of Trump, but like to be expected. I mean, also expected of Biden too, but it just felt like such a big fuck you to anyone who, well, to the world. Like I said, like the rest of the world is like, this is terrible. Why are you still doing this? It's not the 60s anymore. And then our king in Colombia, Gustavo Petro, he had some choice words for Trump. I think this story circulated quite a bit already, but I was interested in it too, so I want to talk about it for a second. He wrote this like long tweet responding to Trump. Trump is basically kind of like bullying Colombia, and I guess for those who don't know, Gustavo Petro was fairly recently elected president, and he's the first leftist president in Colombia ever. Colombia's long been like a horrible right-wing servant of the U.S. basically for the longest time. And there's still a lot of elements there that want to bring it back to that too. But this guy's pretty badass, and I think it's shown pretty well in his willingness to talk incredibly mad shit at Trump. Right. I mean, the first sentence is, I don't really like traveling to the U.S. And he just calls him Trump. He doesn't say Mr. President, sir, like all of our brave truth tellers, the homegrown in America do, our, the respectful Twitterers. Mr. President, sir, you are Hitler, but I respect the office of Hitler.
We have to give it to Hitler. He won it. It was a good game. He didn't, yeah.
I don't really like traveling to the U.S. It's a bit boring. Ooh. But then he goes on to say, he's calling him a racist. He's like, I'd like to sit down and have a whiskey with you, which I wonder if that was chosen as like a weird like dig at his teetotaling. Trump's teetotaling. Yeah, he says, maybe one day over a glass of whiskey, which I accept despite my gastritis. We can talk frankly about this, but it's difficult because you consider me an inferior race, and I'm not, nor is any Colombian. Yeah, so he's really standing up for his people, but this was all rooted in Trump deporting a bunch of Colombians and Trump trying to characterize the whole thing as this fucking leftist piece of shit pussy won't accept my military plane, which he like purposely chose a military plane unnecessarily. It's more expensive actually to use the military plane, but it's all just like a huge sign of disrespect and like treating these people like as being like less than human. They were all shackled, their arms and legs. They didn't like let them shower and stuff before like the flight, or like brush their teeth. Basically just all this like sort of on its own stuff that seems like sort of small, but when you add it all together, it's very insulting, obviously. But Petro's whole thing was just, I never said I wouldn't accept these people back. They're Colombians. Of course I accept them back into the country. But you have to do it with some fucking dignity, you asshole. That's basically the summary of everything he says. But he does go into a lot of interesting detail, but most of you listeners have probably already heard it, so I'm not gonna like read this whole very long thing. But and he also basically says like, I'm ready to die, motherfucker, to Trump. Like I know you might like, come in and try to do some coup shit, try to take me out, but bring it on, asshole. Which also doesn't seem like posturing, because this guy was actually fought for things he believed in in like a leftist militia of sorts. I don't know if I'm characterizing that right, but in any case. But in the end, like Petro kind of won the whole back and forth because what he wanted was dignity for these people, and they did like end up just like turning the flight around and like then putting them on like commercial flight and like letting them eat and drink and like not be handcuffed on the airplane. I saw an interview with one of the guys getting off the plane, and he like kind of described the whole thing. Yeah, all the stuff about not being able to shower, and he said also they were just being like physically beaten on the first flight, like some people, and like they wouldn't give anyone medical attention. It's just a whole fucking list of indignities and that were just. But he said like on the second flight, everyone was really nice and like as like taught like having like conversations with them and stuff. And so yeah, it's a small right. win, even though it did involve people getting deported, which they probably didn't necessarily want to happen, I'm assuming. Although some of the people were basically like, you know what, fuck it, I'm glad to be back in Colombia. This is my real place here. So yeah, that's the Colombia corner. Yeah, Trump's getting into it with everyone around the world. He had some very tense, I think it was described as horrible by one of the like staff members or something, watching this phone call with about Greenland with the Prime Minister of Denmark, and Trump was just being like a big bullying asshole basically and really throwing a temper tantrum because the PM said, yeah, it's not for sale. It's just not. No.
Right.
But even though they're like doing all these other concessions too, they're like, you already have a military base there. Like, we're not saying anything's wrong with that. And like, but then
if
the most
find anything cool like oil or minerals for batteries, you guys can like kind of have it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like but he's like, I'm still not ruling out taking it by force.
This is still like one of the more like loyal allies that the U.S. has too. It's just so this burning of bridges. I keep seeing shit about like because Trump is just like destroying America so thoroughly, so quickly, or like it's on that course easily could be. People just kind of sarcastically like, "Thank you, Comrade Trump," and all this shit. But it does look like after that phone call, the Danes are they're slightly trying to push back. So the most recent thing I saw was 15% of American adults take or have taken Ozempic. Denmark is considering blocking all sales to America as well as Lego. No! And access to Maersk shipping, which accounts for 15% of global shipping. Surprisingly good leverage for a small little country, goes the commentary there. I do like the idea of just like trying to take Americans hostage by Ozempic and Legos.
I mean, that's our main things now. That's like, that's what American men, all they know is take Ozempic, play Lego, and lie.
Yeah, it's going to be like the sallow-faced men of the United States all going to Legoland at the Mall of America. Just real skinny and not hungry. It's amazing.
Right. Well, the thing about Ozempic that's weird is like, it slows the way that you digest. It seems bad, but I'm just like, it's not like even appetite suppressant. And this is not the point. This is not the point.
Oh, I thought there was some appetite suppressant.
It suppresses your appetite in the sense that it makes it so like you don't feel hungry because your body hasn't digested the last thing that you ate.
Okay.
Or the last things that you ate.
It slows digestion.
Yeah, which is like kind of scary to me in a lot of ways. But as someone who knows, about this like health stuff, but again, like I said, this is not Tim's, pharmacy corner or whatever. Move on.
I do think there is some sort of bubble that will burst with Ozempic in terms of like health outcomes, but who knows? That's just totally instinct on my part. Another thing about this Greenland shit is also that Peter Thiel's Praxis Corporation, one of his many corporations, hilarious name there for Mr. Libertarian, is that, yeah, essentially he wants to like create like a libertarian, Ayn Randian, a libertarian commune, two funny words smashed together, out in Greenland. Just like they're going to do Curtis Yarvin style fiefdoms in Greenland is the plan, apparently. And Peter Thiel obviously gave Trump some money. So it just seems like it's like somehow the like pay to play tit for tat shit is just like somehow more obvious than even it's ever been, it feels like. But hey, it shows that Trump is an honorable businessman, right? He's honoring the unspoken agreements with which his donors have come to terms with him. So yeah, it seems like this Greenland shit could possibly just be rooted in, I mean, it's more than just the Peter Thiel thing, obviously. It's like there's obviously strategic goals in having more power influence over the Arctic. Big news this week also was, speaking of bubbles about to burst, as I said a moment ago.
Sure, yeah.
The AI bubble.
It already burst. That bitch done popped.
Seems like it's been popped.
Yeah.
Was it the largest loss in like...
That's probably true.
The New York Stock Exchange history? I think it was like single day loss. Yeah. $1 trillion just like hemorrhaged out of the AI bubble sector. Because the Chinese open source AI app DeepSeek came on the scene, and they made that thing for $5.5 million with an M dollars. This is like on the heels of that news we talked about last week, or whatever it was, maybe the week before, about the $500 billion AI shit that Trump is trying to put together so that Larry, what's his face, can magically target your individualized cancers. That doesn't reek of pump and dump bullshit promises at all. No way.
That's normal.
What's his name? Ellison? Is it Larry Ellison? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I downloaded DeepSeek eventually, not right away.
Nice.
I didn't want to be a total bandwagon jumper, but the first thing I asked it was to explain to me how DeepSeek like beat the shit out of the New York Stock Exchange, but to do it as if I were a young child, and it had a pretty good answer.
Nice. It said communism, and then
I did ask it to explain to me what Chinese with socialist characteristic, or what did I just say? Socialism with Chinese.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's close enough. The other way around.
Socialism with Chinese characteristics was also as if I were a child, and it both times it just used like, say you have a box of toys as like the first part of it.
Nice.
Just using like the toy analogy.
They know kids like toys.
It was good. I was like, because this was like before I read any other articles really about the DeepSeek thing. And I was like, thank you. I get it now. Like, I think it ended with something like, so now the American AI companies just have to work a little bit harder to make their toys as cool as China's toys, or something like that. It was very like magnanimous. It was not like shitty to the competition at all. So that must be part of the algorithm or whatever in there, in the large language model. But yeah, obviously there was some like some kind of schadenfreude experienced by a lot of people, including yours truly over here, at watching these fucking AI tech pieces of shit just scramble and lose their minds. They're not happy about DeepSeek at all. And apparently there's also another Chinese AI company, and these are like smaller companies too. These are not like the fucking mega monolithic fucking beasts that our tech sector at least portrays themselves to be. Like I said, $5.5 million. Like fucking Google and OpenAI or whatever, they're like, $5.5 million is like a fucking square of toilet paper to them. They're fucking wiping their ass with that money.
Yeah, right.
But it's cool. It's open source. I mean, I'm not gonna like, I don't want to like suck its dick too much. I'm not saying like, definitely not. It's not like, oh, this is like necessarily great for humanity, but it's like AI is kind of here to stay. So there might as well be like a sort of more socialistic, whatever, democratized open source version that the other thing is that it uses like way fucking less energy to run the thing.
Which that's that whole thing that people love to say, where they say like having like constraints makes you fucking like produce better stuff. Because from what I heard, a big part of why that it uses up less fucking computing power and hence less energy is because of like limitations that were placed on them because of the chip embargo, where they weren't allowed to get like certain like chips to do computer. Yeah,
the Nvidia chips, which their stock also tanked because of this as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like that just speaks to that. It's like having unlimited resources makes you fucking fat and lazy, right?
Yeah. Well, and also it's all just a fucking scam from the jump anyway. But yeah, totally. Yeah, they didn't even have access to these like high quality computer chips, which the US made, like that's been like a huge priority for the US and for the US tech companies, is to like just try to keep these high performance computer chips out of the hands of the inscrutable Chinese with their insectile minds.
God damn, I was literally just about to chime in with that. So you fucking nailed it. The inscrutable Chinese. And that was how they were able to overcome.
There was some article by like Harvard Business fucking whatever magazine or some shit, like just a couple of years ago, that was like, Chinese don't know how to innovate.
Nope, they really don't.
And that's been like,
they don't have the entrepreneurial spirit.
They don't have the entrepreneurial phenotype.
Well,
it's like shit that's just like been setting this up. You know what I mean? Like they're just like daring China to like trounce their asses. And like, how do they not see it coming? Like they seem genuinely surprised by this. At least some of the people in this tech world, and some of them were even like trying to be like, "Oh wow, this is really good technology," but also in their minds they're probably like, "Fucking idiots are like making it open source and just like not monetizing the shit out of every aspect of it." So, Year of the Snake, go China.
Hell yeah.
Here's some good red meat for us. I almost forgot. There's so many fucking things. I almost forgot about this. And I was just yesterday, like, I think, seeing all this stuff. RFK's Senate hearing. Did you hear about this?
Yeah. I saw the important clips, I think, maybe, but I'm sure there's tons to dig in.
That's all I saw too, really, but mostly Bernie Sanders. The funniest part was Bernie Sanders putting up these images of these baby onesies from RFK's, one of his fucking like anti-vax websites, or whatever groups. It's like Defend Kids or something.
Yeah, he runs like those fucking, Facebook groups that like try to sell you weird AI printed t-shirts. Like that's a big chunk of RFK's hustle.
So yeah, he was being grilled, as they say, at these things by the Senate, and Bernie Sanders probably went after him the hardest, I guess. He asked him if he believes that healthcare is a human right, yes or no. And this guy is such a pussy. He likes to come off as like kind of a tough guy in some ways, I feel like. Is that right about RFK?
Yeah.
Especially after the MAGA turn, like when he goes on podcasts and shit, he's like, a lot of like bravado or whatever in a way. But he was such a pussy about when he was being questioned. Like he just pretended like he was never been anti-vax at all. Not in the slightest. He's just like, he just said it. He's just like, no, I support vaccines. Like,
well, that's the thing about it from the beginning, because you can say like whatever, like, and I'm sorry. It's always weasel words. It's always fucking bullshit from the beginning. So like he can easily like pivot, and you can't really do like a hard gotcha, even though we all know, because he speaks between the lines. And even from the beginning of his anti-vax nature, he acts like, he will say like, I'm not anti-vax, but I just have questions about like the thimerosal. And then it's like, oh, well, when they remove the thimerosal and it shows that there's no, difference, then like, now do you have, well, there's still a lot of questions to ask, but it's like, that's the thing. They pretend like they're not anti-vax, right? And there's no proof of that, but no matter what you have to say, it's never good enough to then like, say, oh, everything's fine, it's good, so yeah.
But they were confronting him with like verifiable, undeniable quotes of his, where he literally said, "There's not a single vaccine on the market that I'm in favor of," something to that extent.
Sure, but again, he argues and he'll go like, because they all have this thing that I think is dangerous, like pick apart like some random ingredient that doesn't actually matter, it's not real, you know what I mean? So it's in like, my problem is not vaccines, it's my problem is ineffective vaccines. My problem is dangerous vaccines. I think vaccines are great. I think they're great, and I mean they make a big difference. But yeah.
Right. And so when Bernie Sanders was going after him, he found this website, and it's like it's a little shop page, and they had baby onesies that said, I don't have the picture in front of me, but it was basically just like unvaxxed and smooth sailing or something like that.
Waxed and unvaxxed.
And Bernie starts doing his fucking hoarse voice yelling at RFK, and he's going, I love just like the idea of taking it out of context or whatever. Just him going, do you support these onesies? Do you support these onesies? And he's like, just like with the, do you think healthcare is a human right? He's like, I can't answer that yes or no. Like, you can't, you can't, you physically can't do it.
I believe the cotton that the onesie's made out of is fine, but the message and the ink on it will actually
Well, the way he tried to get around the onesies thing was he kept saying, "Well, I'm no longer a part of that. Like, I'm not on the board of that whatever group anymore." But then Bernie's like, "Yeah, you like bailed like 2 months ago. So what?"
I like the idea that like RFK is doing the like the success win hack thing of like if you're in a job interview and they ask you about like a job where like it's not a good reference or whatever, like there's a gap in your resume, then you say like, I signed an NDA. Like RFK is doing that, like he's trying to do that like success. I'm no longer with the board with that company, so I can't really speak on how I feel about anything that they do. I'm just, like that's what he's trying to do, but in front of the fucking Senate to be the head of like fucking healthcare for the entire country. Yeah, it's pretty good. He
would have been better off just literally saying I signed an NDA than what he actually did, which was just, I don't know. I can't, he was really squirming. It was nice to see him squirm.
He was squirming like the worm inside of his brain, folks. My favorite bit was the one that I don't know if you have this on the list, but the thing about like Medicare, Medi-Cal, Medicaid, all that stuff. He had like multiple times where they asked him about Medicaid, and he had like a stock answer to respond like, I think it's good, but people that complain about the the premiums and the deductibles being too high, and it's tough. Famously, obviously, Medicaid is free at point of service. So there are no premiums or deductibles. So he just repeatedly would say people complain about the premiums and the deductibles being too high. And there's none. They don't have those. As someone who knows about this stuff because of like my job, that's not a thing. That's not right or true. And he said that every time that they asked him about it. And like, it's fucking crazy to me that as far as I could tell, no one ever called him out on it. No one ever said, now you keep talking about Medicaid deductibles and premiums. Are you aware that those don't exist? That what you're talking about is not a real thing? And
that's good. And you should have been there.
You're trying to be in charge of this entire like ball of wax, and you don't even know that is probably not good.
It's pretty bad that no one caught that. Who was there questioning him
in the moment? No one said anything. Yeah, called him out.
I mean, like as you were explaining it to me, it went over my head because it's maybe something I don't have readily accessible in my brain. But like, I'm also not a fucking senator,
right? So, who's like specifically there to question the person who's trying to be the head of the health agency,
the head doctor of America.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're asking him about this stuff, but yeah, so when you say it goes over your head, basically, like, the simplest way to explain it is that, like, Medicaid, which is, like, insurance for poor people in America, is, like, the easiest way to say it. If you qualify for that, you don't pay out of pocket for anything. Everything that's covered by Medicaid is completely free to you as someone who is, like, enrolled in Medicaid. And repeatedly, when they were asking him questions about Medicaid, he was saying people that are enrolled in Medicaid complain about the cost. And they don't pay anything. So there is no cost to them. Yeah.
Well, see, that's more secret comrade shit then, right? He's he didn't want to blow up the fact that it's socialist and have it get targeted by Trump. He's working from the inside. He started as a Democrat, remember, guys?
That's true.
The thing I just realized that I skipped right over was like maybe the biggest news of the most recent biggest news was like Trump just like freezing all federal spending across the board, which is insane.
Sure, that's pretty good.
Illegal, insane. Definitely had like even, you know, I don't even know how long it was enacted, but you know, it's been reversed pretty quickly, and like immediately, like people were like, you know, there's so many lawsuits against the Trump administration right now. It's pretty wild. But part of that freeze, I mean, there's so many elements to it. They think about what federal spending entails. Like, I mean, some examples I jotted down were like, one of the big ones in my mind was this PEPFAR. One of the only good things the George W. Bush administration ever did was start this HIV/AIDS program in 2003. Which the estimate is that they've saved 25 million lives since then with this program that like treats HIV/AIDS like around the world. And that was frozen. I mean, I guess realistically, like freezing a program like that for a day or two isn't necessarily going to kill anyone. I don't know. I mean, maybe. Yes, I don't know.
It will kill people. People will die.
In the span of a day?
They could die.
Yeah, I guess that's well. Okay, I mean, I started this off by saying this is really bad. This may be one of the worst elements of it. So
it's like a very narrow, like set of circumstances, but it absolutely could kill someone.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Meals on Wheels. Laura Palmer's job got axed for a moment, frozen rather. Like people who need like heating assistance, all kinds of stuff, like baby formula programs, all kinds of shit. That, yeah, like a thing like baby formula, I can see how that like in the span of a day or two could maybe not necessarily kill someone, but let's say really put somebody out.
Right.
That was all very insane and probably has its roots in the Doge, Mr. Musk's James Bond villain agency.
Right.
Which I had to look it up because for the longest time, it seemed like Doge was not going to be officially an element of the government. But I didn't notice that one of the many executive orders Trump signed last week, one of them was incorporating Doge as like an actual governmental agency.
It like reappropriated another agency into being Doge, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Which is weird, but cool, I guess. I don't know. I think it's based and and yeah.
But just one more element of the deep freeze, the big freeze, was they froze. So Snarko Rubio came out and was like, all foreign funding is frozen, hereby frozen for all eternity, except for Israel. And we'll throw in Egypt, too, because we're trying to get Egypt to help us clean the Palestinians out of Gaza. So, yeah, all of it, all the foreign aid. I think maybe there was some exception for certain emergency food aid, maybe. But otherwise, yeah. But the only exemptions really were Israel and Egypt. And Trump also did repeal the ban that Biden had put into effect. This was another thing another big fuck you in my mind that like dabbing on us fuck you Biden did on his last days there was stopped sending 2,000-pound bombs to Israel, not all the other ones.
Sure. Which is
like kind of like who gives a shit, because it's just so like, you know, it's going to be reversed immediately in the next few days, for one. Two, it's not like they've run out of the 2,000 bombs that we've been sending the whole fucking time yet anyway. And they still got 500-pound bombs. Like, they just dropped 4 of those instead.
Right.
But anyway, as symbolism, it's a little more hard-hitting. It's like, okay, fuck all the other countries' funding, except we're gonna also get to throw in new fucking toys to send to Israel, whose funding will never stop no matter what. So that's fun. Let's see. Bob Menendez. Guantanamo revived anew, unsealing JFK, RFK, MLK docs, but no Epstein. This is a true speed run. Lake and Riley Act.
Yeah. Oh,
Lincoln Riley Act
this
is
is bad.
pretty bad, folks.
It's really bad, guys.
It's no good.
It's like,
It's Gestapo shit, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, just to summarize what it does, it basically makes it legal to arrest undocumented immigrants.
No, not just arrest. Part of the Lincoln Riley Act is instant deportation.
So it's worse than I
for
even realized. Okay.
Instant deportation for any immigrant who is accused of a crime.
Just the accusation.
They don't have to be. If there's an accusation of a crime to an immigrant, they are instantly deported. It's basically, it is, like you said, it's a Gestapo law. It's a fully fledged Gestapo law. You turn in your neighbor, and if they are an immigrant, they are fucking gone. They are sent away.
It's somehow crazier than I even realized. I thought even just like arrest was bad enough, but you're right. It hasn't actually gone into effect yet, I don't think. I think there's like 30 days from when it was signed, something like that. But my God, can you bet? I'm sure no one's going to abuse this, right? Right, everybody?
Well, it sounds crazy, but it's just like they are trying to rebuke birthright citizenship, which is literally enshrined into the Constitution as an amendment. Like, to talk about this as like, oh my God, this is beyond the pale, and it's like the biggest thing. Like, it's not. I mean, it's kind of not. Because the biggest thing is fucking, like, they're literally Trump is literally trying to, like, reverse an amendment to the Constitution. Like, the Lincoln Riley Act is fucking insane, but I don't know. Is there ever, like, I mean, it probably has been, but has there ever been a president who tried to, like, you know, reverse, question an amendment to the Constitution this brazenly?
It seems new. It is new. I mean, it is new.
Yeah.
All this shit about repealing birthright citizenship, obviously crazy. But then I read some like sort of unrelated story about. Oh fuck! I didn't write any of this down. Here I go, just guessing.
Let's go off the cuff.
Let's make it vague enough to where I'm not actually signaling out someone, but a right wing president of a South American nation, possibly Central American.
Sure.
Just total right-wing stooge, loves Trump, is making a big point to have his kid be born in America so he can get birthright citizenship, which be interesting the exceptions that will be made, is all I'm going to say. So yes, Lincoln Riley Act, it's like, I don't even know how to like really comprehend that as being real. I guess there's some chance that it could be struck down still before the 30 days are up, but like I said, there's like 20,000 consequential lawsuits happening right now against like all of these insane acts and executive orders and whatnot. So a lot to juggle. Prayers up for our nation's good lawyers. DEI plane crashes. Let's talk about that.
Hell yes. The goddamn fucking woke kamikazes are being fucking activated. They've hit the Manchurian candidate trigger word to force them to all start crashing planes to make our president, Donald J. Trump, look like a fucking asshole. This was set up by Biden. Obviously. Old Sleepy Joe Biden has the last laugh because he had built this in. He had a dead man switch.
He blamed Obama
for the moment.
He blamed Obama too. He went way back.
Right, but like I said, I've said on the podcast before, you know, Obama, the original sin of Obama is what created Biden. So Obama was working through Sleepy Joe to lead this fucking, you know, leave back network was set up through Obama. Obama used Joe to set this up so that the moment if Trump gets elected, he hits the dead man switch and boom. And they set it up, all these fucking woke DEI fucking pilots crashing planes nonstop. Can you believe this?
I just remember
and they act like they care about America.
You know how we talked about the anti-trans video Trump played with Full Metal Jacket clips?
Oh yeah.
They should do.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Flight with Denzel Washington?
Yes.
They should just play clips of him drunkenly crashing that airplane. Like, see, DEI, folks.
Right.
Except actually in the movie, he's drunk and he manages to actually save like almost everybody's life in that crash, I think. Anyway, whatever. They could still take some out of context clips and put together a good reel.
Right.
Yeah. So there was this pretty insane, I think it's the most deadly aviation accident in 20 years.
Since 9/11 is the way that I've heard people saying it, and I like it. I think that's a good way to do it. That's a nice little rhetorical flourish.
I see how that works out, but I feel like anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
No, I get it. It's playing politics.
No erasure towards if there was a worse crash in like 2003 or 4 or something. But in any case,
it's nice. It's 100% playing politics. It's the kind of thing that makes you go, wait a minute. If they're able to disseminate this talking point so well right now, why is it that the Democrats aren't able to pull this kind of shit off any other time? Never any other time are they able to do anything this coordinated and good and striking, you know what I mean? And just biting, and it's perfect to say, this is the most, it was, I think the way that they said it was like the most devastating, the most, domestic airplane crash in U.S. history since 9/11 is the way that they say it to make it be true, which means, you get that. Like, it's an American plane that's happening within U.S. soil, blah, 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 the amount of deaths or whatever. So I could definitely see that there's probably a lot going on there. But again, like I said, why aren't they able to pull this kind of shit off when like all the electorate is asking you to say is to just be like, can Kamala Harris say that she'll tell the Jews to stop killing babies? That's all they want. Just tell Israel to stop killing babies. That's all we. No, we can't do that. It's against the law. It's illegal for Kamala Harris to lie about killing babies.
That's their red line. Can't cross Israel like that. What was I going to say? Oh, just on the idea of like the Democrats being total shitty failures, and controlled opposition, or however you want to reconcile the realities in your mind. I tend to lean more towards like a controlled opposition, intentional failure type thing. But either way, it has the same effects of just the MAGA movement rolling over these fucking pussies, these idiots. Some people were trying to like cite like the grilling RFK as like, see, they still got the fight in them, and it's like, not really. He's still probably going to get approved, and you just get to like feel like get a little shiver down your taint when you watch Bernie Sanders yell at this guy, which I get that enough, I guess. But anyway, no, but on that whole subject, I remembered, again, this feels like so long ago, but the Democrats put together like a press conference, and it was like, now I can't even remember what fucking issue it was about, but it was like an issue that was already a week old, and they were so slow to get to it. Fuck, what was it? Is this ringing any bells for you? Because my mind just went blank.
No. Yeah.
What was one of the? It was over like one of the first things Trump did on like day one. I forget. I can't remember which one because there's just so many, but
way too much.
But then like
to keep track.
But it just shows like how slow. Like it took them a full week to put together a fucking press conference. Oh, you know what? I'm conflating multiple things in my mind as well. But then there was another thing where they had a guy. Shit. You know what? I'm gonna have to just find it and I'll just bring it up next week because whatever. Damn it. Anyway, this will all be just a note to self on the edit.
Okay.
But I've got airplanes. Stick with the airplanes. I got a clip from Trump's press conference about the planes that's pretty good. So let's enjoy that together.
My administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are.
Look at this guy. I was like, I got like kind of shocked by his appearance in this particular video. He just looks so. His eyebrows are fucking wild.
It's not great. It's not great.
It looks fucking weirder than ever.
Yeah.
Matters intellect, talent. The word talent. You have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. but will restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
You know what's amazing is that Trump is basically doing like shit, like level of like shitty podcasting, and I know a thing or two about that. He's just reading headlines with no context, no sourcing, and this is his big proof of like, you know, his point that DEI did it.
That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so.
I don't think so, folks.
On January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office, they put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program.
Trump was reading from a year-old online report about efforts at the FAA to hire people with disabilities. During the news conference, journalists repeatedly questioned Trump about his unfounded assertions. This is one exchange with New York Times reporter David Sanger.
Mr. President, you have today blamed the diversity elements, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense.
Okay.
It's true.
So his big evidence was this thing about hiring people with, what was it, severe psychiatric or intellectual disabilities, psychiatric disorders and intellectual disabilities. Not understanding, not reading the article, which I'm going to just guess gets into the details that, or maybe not, it could be some bullshit right-wing fucking article that just leaves the pertinent details out, but I'm going to go out on a wild ass limb and say they're not hiring people with intellectual disabilities to be air traffic controllers. There's other jobs within this department that he's referring to that has the DEI measures. So take that, Trump. Dunked on your ass. It's all over. The walls are closing in.
The walls feel like they are closing in.
But as the walls close in around the president,
Donald Trump feels the walls closing in.
I think this is a guy who feels like the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on him?
Because the walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on the president.
Now the walls appear to be closing in.
Really kind of the walls closing in on him.
The walls are closing in because the walls are indeed closing in.
I think at this point, the walls are spinning.
The legal walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in on President Trump.
The walls, meanwhile, are closing in on the President of the United States.
The walls closing in on President Donald Trump.
It appears that the walls are closing in on this president.
Feels that the walls are closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
The walls are closing in.
And the walls are closing in.
That the walls are closing in on the president.
Are the walls closing in?
The walls are closing in on the presidency.
It says as the walls begin to close around him. The political walls closing in on him.
This is a president that feels the walls closing in.
The walls are closing in on Donald Trump.
I think the walls are finally closing in.
The walls.
The walls. The walls.
The walls.
The walls.
Walls.
Walls and the walls.
The walls. The walls.
The walls.
Walls
are closing.
Closing in.
Closing.
Closing in.
Closing in.
Closing in on.
It's closing in.
The walls are closing in
on President Donald Trump.
He's not looking forward to any of it. He's horrified. He's just talking big. The walls are closing in, as has been said before.
They've got him. How is he going to wriggle free from this one, folks? Everyone knows, you get it. You get the joke on that one. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
And then going, it's still under investigation after he's just given this like definitive statement on this is exactly what happened. Obama and the DEIs came in.
They did the woke.
They got in the helicopter personally, crashed it into the plane. And right before we got on here today, I saw this little cherry on top of the whole DEI plane crash thing. And also, you sent me something about another plane, like small. It was like a small plane. I didn't get a chance to even read it, but another plane crash just happened like today in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know even if it's small, but there's like a plane crash on the fucking roads in Philadelphia.
I thought I heard that it was like it wasn't like a commercial airliner.
Oh, I don't even know. I don't even know.
I meant small, like in like size of the plane, but anyway,
right. Or even just like amount of like casualties or whatever. But yeah, all I saw was like the early footage of just people posting videos.
There's
like,
not much information about it.
Plane crash
yet,
happened
as far
in
as
the middle of the street. No, when I saw it, I don't know if now they've got like more.
I mean, that was like an hour ago.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's probably more by now. But anyway, but Trump also said this thing that's so funny. He's so pissy right now about it too, because people are actually giving him almost real journalistic questions. Not quite, but almost. He's like, what the hell? That's too close for comfort. They asked him if he's going to visit the plane crash site, and he responded with, what's the site? The water? You want me to go swimming?
Have you spoken to any of the families of the victims of the plane crash?
I don't want to comment on that.
Do you have a plan to go visit the site or meet with any of the
I have a plan to visit, not the site, because what did you tell me? What's the site? The water?
Or to meet with the first responders?
Just like, fuck them kids. The Michael Jordan thing. Fuck them kids. You want to go swimming to see this stupid ass plane crash site? Oh boy. And then I threw down this other thing here, just as a quick aside, but when Mr. Hegseth, I already forgot his first name, Pete? Is it Pete? I don't know.
Yeah, it's Pete.
He got shockingly approved to become the head of the czar, the defense czar, the War Department czar. They should do that. They should, if they want to do all this kind of like Make America Great Again shit. Just reverse the name on the Department of Defense, Department of War. But JD Vance just like really cucked Hegseth in the press conference. Like they asked Hegseth a direct question, and he goes, "I'll take that one. I'll speak for Mr. Hegseth." And just it was a hilarious cucking, and it just really felt like the smart college boy, JD Vance, like getting revenge on the jock. In a way, or something like that, because he made it seem like he was like nervous to let him speak for himself. He just immediately just intercepted the question, and it wasn't even a hard question. I can't remember what it was, but it was like such a softball question too. All right, the final leg of the show will end with Nazism, as we always do.
Fuck.
I mean, like I said, my hand is forced. We only probably mentioned Elon Musk like 17 times so far today.
16 or 17, yeah.
But I gotta mention that he doubled down on Nazism even further. Tripled down, really, if you count the insane insane tweets and puns and limericks about Nazism and the Holocaust as doubling down.
That was ill-advised, right?
We covered that one. Yes, ill-advised, I'd say. Oh. Although, his fans still love it, I guess. It's so insane that he has fans at all. Right. But no, he Skyped in for Alternative for Deutschland Nazi rally being held in Germany. Well, first of all, the NBC.com, their article on this had a hilarious picture that some cool intern or something must have picked out. It's all these flags are flapping. All these German flags are flapping in front of the video screen. And in one of the images, the flag stops right below Mr. Musk's nose and looks very much like a Hitler mustache. So I like that. I like that they just chose the picture.
I like that a lot.
I checked in on it right before we got on. And if you can believe it, they changed the picture to not have the giant televised head of Musk have a German flag Hitler mustache. When he addressed the crowd, he basically said, like, we need to stop feeling guilty about the past, y'all. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? He's like clearly invoking the Holocaust, and like we shouldn't be punished for the sins of our parents or grandparents or even great grandparents. Like it sounds like you're really talking about yourself and your Nazi family. But yeah, so that was just ridiculous. I mean, there's not what's there really to even say about it? It's just he's just amping up the same thing. It's just more of the same, really. But I liked that NBC picture. being published, at least for a moment.
Right.
I guess we could just pivot right from that to the thing you sent me. First thing I saw this morning, I think, was fighter Bryce Mitchell calls Hitler a good guy. UFC boss Dana White reacts.
This is pretty good.
Does anything to set us up with about this?
He's kind of I think he's a knockout of the night kind of guy. You know what I mean? He's a guy who's known for getting punched hard, right? He's not like a grappler. He's like a stand and bang, get punched in the head kind of guy. He's got a good amount of wins actually, so maybe he's not like some insane joke, but he's definitely it's a lot of decisions. It's a lot of he's got a few submissions. I'll give it to him. He's probably pretty solid. But he's a featherweight, so he's small. His brain, like I said, his brain's getting knocked around inside of his skull. I think he's already probably came into this pretty stupid, and I think he's retiring. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's like a middle of the pack, lightweight, heavy, fighter guy who's gotten a couple good knockouts, a couple good punches laying into him, but he's also won a ton of matches, but late submissions, so probably a guy who takes a lot of punishment. So not someone who should be thought of as again, someone who doesn't have a ton of traumatic head injuries.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to insert the clip, I guess. We should platform this Nazi. I mean, you just have to hear how stupid this guy is. But basically, he just says a bunch of straight up Hitler shit.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, you know what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know the books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books. Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
But what about...
Anyway, he says all this insane shit, which I guess you'll hear in the clip. I'm not going to just read the whole thing again. What I found interesting about some reaction to this was, one, the Anti-Defamation League CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, came out and slammed this as anti-Semitic, homophobic, and transphobic. I'm aghast at this podcast interview. There are simply no words, Mr. Greenblatt told BBC. Friendly reminder, this is the same guy that defended the Roman salute from last week. And then Dana White, another fucking vicious. You got any thoughts on Dana White? I'm not a fan. He's he got I think he got appointed to the board of Meta recently, and he's got his fucking Weasley little
he's kind of a fucker. I kind of hate him.
Con artistry, I'll say. It seems like a lot of his getting semi involved with the government and other huge these tech firms or whatever. It's just obviously it's just self-preservation. He doesn't want various government agencies looking into his finances, from what I understand. But I feel like you would know more than me about this guy.
He's just he's a real piece of shit. He's on top of I fucking hate him as a person. He fucking sucks as a person, but it's even deeper than that, or not deeper. He's fucking terrible. He's bad for humanity, society, everything. The fact that he's a fucking billionaire is fucking disgusting, but he's also completely ruined. He's part of the people who've completely ruined MMA as a sport that I appreciated. I actually used to enjoy fights, but they've him and the Fertittas have just fucking ruined what most people think of when they think of MMA or fighting in general. So yeah, he's terrible. And I fucking hate him. And he's not just on top of like the petty shit, he's also like a really bad guy who beats his wife and, you know what I mean, and supports fucking rapists and covers up like tons of fucking terrible crimes if it makes him money. Yeah, so yeah, he fucking sucks. So,
and he ultimately, like, when all's said and done, basically defended this guy through like the free speech excuse route, whatever. He like called him an idiot. He's like, he's an idiot. Hitler's actually really bad, you know, if anyone didn't know. The only reason I was hanging on to that fucking Nazi website is because I wanted to read how it shifts at the end, but whatever. I could just explain it without citing it. But like right after all this shit in the article, there's like a two sentence paragraph on like who Adolf Hitler was after all of it.
That's pretty good.
It's like, here's this German guy, did some bad stuff. It's not nice, people. It's not nice.
No.
But yeah, Dana White ultimately was like, they asked him if he would like take any actions to like basically fire this guy or not, whatever, like some sort of professional consequences. And he's like, no, free speech, man.
Yeah, of course.
Even though, I feel like I can confidently say that Dana White is probably fully on board with deporting Palestinian students from America just for being Palestinian, because their very existence is anti-Semitic. So then the after the fact thing I noticed about this guy's podcast, which is called Arkansanity. Is that right?
That sounds right.
I don't have the Nazi page open. I can't reference this shit anymore now. But Arkansanity, which this was their inaugural #1 episode. That makes it so much funnier, because I just assumed, these guys have probably been at this for a while at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, their first episode got removed from YouTube and then presumably other platforms as well, for just outrightly inciting Nazism.
It was an Arkansas themed podcast.
Right. And I feel like one of their log lines or something was like, it was just like what Trump said in the fucking the clip we just listened to. He's like, it was like, for common sense and sanity from two Arkansasians or whatever. Arkansans.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing I noticed with the clip that like you posted was right at the end, the second guy starts to chime in, yeah, but, and then it cuts off. And I was like, I gotta know what he said.
Yes.
So that's how I found out that the show got taken down and that it was their first episode, because I just followed like the link to the full episode, and it's gone. We'll never know. We'll never know what genius, awesome shit the second guy had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I said this on the internet, and I tweeted it out, but like one of my biggest takeaways from the whole thing was that the segment that's like getting tweeted to death and it's all over the place, he's starting it out talking about Elon Musk doing the Nazi salute. That's like the first thing he's talking about.
Oh,
and he's like, and what he says is, I don't think he was doing a Nazi salute. I don't think he was doing a Hitler salute, because I think Hitler was actually a pretty good guy. And I think that Hitler was trying to just do some good stuff for the Germans and to try to, get rid of all of those nasty Jews.
They're clearing us up.
If you extrapolate out from what the guy is saying, what he is saying is, I don't think Elon Musk was saluting Hitler, because I think Hitler is too cool for Elon Musk. That was what he was saying.
And that's not what he wants to say. He like got himself in there because he's a moron.
Yeah. But what he ends up saying is, I don't think he was doing a Nazi salute, because I actually think Hitler is cool. And that would imply that I don't think Elon is cool enough to be saluting Hitler. So that's kind of the takeaway from the whole thing, which is pretty cool when you think about it.
Yeah. I guess finally, this will be the final bit, I suppose. Previously mentioned in this episode, Mr. Stinkle, Mr. Jackson Hinkle. He didn't actually say this was some Twitter account. I don't know. I tried to figure out what it was. I went to their website, and they don't have any sort of like summary of what their deal is, but they seem to basically just be like mega communist. And in the fact that they are, loving Jackson Hinkle makes that seem all the more likely. But
I mean, that's his whole thing.
Right.
He invented that.
Did you see the picture of they're quote tweeting Hassan Piker, presumably in Tokyo, I guess, in like a maid cafe. So he's like in a maid's outfit with cat ears on, just queering it up, as Bryce Mitchell would say.
Yes,
queering up our nation. And so this mega communist Twitter profile, they tweeted in response like, "Fuck you, soy boys. This is what real communists look like." And it's Jackson Hinkle and some guy I do not fucking know who he is. People kept referring to him as Haz, H-A-Z, in the comments, but I couldn't figure out. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He's just he's some fucking asshole like Jackson Hinkle.
Yeah.
They're both in like way too tightly tailored suits, trying to look suave.
Why wouldn't they be?
And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the story. But then I dug into the Twitter profile slightly, and they had a tweet that said, let me get the wording right here. Libertarianism is more communist than leftism.
That's true.
Which I guess just would be the slogan of MAGA communism, right? If they were being honest.
Right.
But then the whole thing made me, I was like, I wonder if Jackson Hinkle had anything to say about the old salute. And according to Google, a quick Google search at least, he had nothing to say about it because he claims to be this communist who should be, opposed to Nazism, you'd think, but he's like down with Elon Musk. He loves Elon Musk. Elon Musk got him his fucking account back and stuff, And I couldn't find him ever saying anything bad about Elon Musk, except I had only found him propping him up as like, Elon Musk is based. He doesn't want money going to Israel. Like, what are you talking about, man? That's just a lie.
Right.
So yeah, Jackson Stinkle, fuck off.
Hinkin' and stinkin'.
Hopefully he just has like a repeat sort of descent into
he probably will.
Madness as his fellow Romanian. I think he's being my suspicion is he's being paid by this right-wing Romanian guy whose weird-ass Romanian name I can't remember, let alone even pronounce when I see it. But he's been in the news lately, and Jackson Hinkle has like interviewed him on his stupid ass show, his like, Rumble show or whatever. But yeah, much like Andrew Tate, he's fled, and I believe is living in Romania and doing all kinds of who knows who the fuck is paying this guy, but he's definitely being paid by someone who sucks, whether it's the U.S. government or just this Romanian guy, who knows. But all right, let's wind it on down and let me open this thing. I'll just need about 10 minutes to open a new page now. Yes, let's generally recommend. You have anything you'd like to recommend today, good sir?
I want to anti-recommend.
I like anti-recommendations.
Because I've done maybe 2 weeks, maybe more, of talking about Deadwood, the HBO TV show from the 2000s. And I've mentioned it a few times, and I want to anti-recommend all of the people who have heard this, including yourself, Josh, who didn't fucking warn me that when we get into season 3 of Deadwood, that it turns into DEI woke bullshit. And this fucking bitch gets a fucking abortion on the show, and they present it like, oh, it's so good. Oh my god. Like, I don't need them to do fucking woke bullshit politics on my fucking... I want to watch about cowboys doing fucking, killing each other and saying fucking cocksucker. I don't need them to bring politics into this show and having this fucking bitch get a goddamn abortion on my and tell me somehow that's good. I'm sorry. Keep politics fucking out of my goddamn horsey show.
Get your DEI abortions out of my face.
I don't need this fucking woke bullshit. I'm trying to watch about the horses.
Swearingen was the original SJ dub.
I can't fucking stand it. And none of you motherfuckers told me Someone could have warned me. I talked about this thing for fucking 2 weeks in a row, and no one said, "Oh, watch out! You know, it's gonna turn into fucking DEI woke fucking bullshit." Like, no.
It was all part of my plan to indoctrinate you into the wokeism.
Well, I don't fucking appreciate it. That's it. That's what it really comes down to.
Well, I'm sorry. That was ableist of me. I will land acknowledge you, and we'll move on. I'm going to recommend a restaurant that loyal, longtime listener of the podcast asked me to shout out on the show. It does look good. It's in the southeast metropolis of Busan in Korea, South Korea, that is. It's called Soban. Yes, Soban Vegan Restaurant. We're going from the woke trickster Deadwood to I'm shouting out a vegan restaurant. Vegan. Oh, you're muted, man. Or my computer's fucking.
I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on with this podcast anymore, man.
You know, like I said, we got to adapt and resist as the 2.0 is kicked off here. But yeah, Soban Vegan Restaurant is the name of the restaurant down in Busan. It looks good. It's got a lot of good reviews on I think specifically vegan and possibly vegetarian friendly restaurant review site. But yeah, shout out Britsman in the Discord for recommending this. It looks good. And I'll throw in a little commentary of my own.
Actually, let's say a perma shout out to Britain at all times. Anytime that we're not saying shout out to Britain, we are thinking it. Yeah.
It's there. It's in the air.
Yeah.
The vibrations never leave us. But the area of town that this is in, I've been to a number of times. It's a cool part of Busan. It's down by Busan Station, the train station, which is near Chinatown, which is also near a location where several very famous Korean movies and TV shows have been filmed, including maybe the most famous Korean movie of all time so far. Whatever. Old Boy. Everybody knows Old Boy.
Hey.
Old Boy was filmed there. The dumpling restaurant location is down there.
What's funny is I thought that you were going to be talking about Parasite.
That's why I was starting to.
That's where you're hedging, right?
To juggle my words around.
Because in my head I was like, I think maybe Old Boy is more well known than Parasite, you know. But yeah,
it's also
I think that
older.
It's neck and neck. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, most people have. If you're a real film aficionado, you've heard of Old Boy,
right?
So that's cool. It's also a cool part of town, and stop by and get some vegan food there. All right. So what you want to do is click on the episode description, scroll down past what may be a very long description of the podcast, possibly bullet pointed. We'll see. And click on the link to the Discord and join the Discord and come in and say hi. It's where we commiserate. And there are all sorts of other links, of course, in the episode description if you want to check out, say, our YouTube channel or whatever, Twitter, etc., heatdeathpod.com, and so forth. Tim, you have another podcast. Tell the good people about it.
It's coming back. It's circling around.
I didn't listen yet. I do want to tune in rather. But your most recent episode, I think most recent still, I would guess, is like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
It's a mega marathon.
Well, so that's the thing. As I was going to say, it's coming. We're coming back because my podcast is QNTR, my podcast that I do with Quentin, but I had like a solo episode. It's not really solo because I had a special guest co-host, Daniel Macabe. One of my best friends in the world. It's weird to even say that out loud, but yeah. Who is a former professional wrestler. He's like my favorite wrestler, my favorite ex-wrestler. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it came out because I mentioned it on the last podcast with the idea that I was going to do a reviewing every match chronologically for the year 2024 with Nicole Matthews. That's what it is. That's the 3.5 hour podcast, is the chronological soup to nuts, every match that she did in the year. We talked about it. It is kind of an incredible year. And it's kind of an interesting listen. Like I said it last time before we even recorded it. I'll say it now that it's happened. It's interesting. It's a case study kind of thing. You don't necessarily even need to care about wrestling to like listen to people talk about like everything that someone does in their career for a year. That's like kind of neat. People don't do stuff like that, right? So it's like a unique thing. It's pretty cool. I've done it. This is the second time I've done it in 5 years. The last time we did it was, like I said, 5 years ago with Daniel Makabe being the subject. We do it again 5 years later. Dan is the co-host and the subject is Nicole Matthews. It's pretty interesting. I would definitely say, like I said, maybe I'm fucking biased as, you know, a person who did it or whatever, but I think it's interesting to listen to no matter what. So, Josh, check it out. Listen to it. Tell me what you think. It's pretty cool. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool thing to do, you know? So, yeah. Either way.
I think I misunderstood when you explained it last week. I thought I was picturing that this was going to be like a series.
No.
Yeah, because you said every match of the year. I was like, oh, that's going to be like a lengthy series.
No.
It's just
sit down every match from beginning to end, and we talk about it over the course of one conversation, 3.5 hours long.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And as Albert Rosenfield always says, now you listen to me. While I will admit a certain cynicism, the fact is that I am a naysayer and a hatchet man in the fight against violence. I pride myself in taking a punch, and I'll gladly take another, because I choose to live my life in the company of Gandhi and King. My concerns are global. I reject absolutely revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. I love you, Sheriff Truman. Good night, good luck, good morning, Vietnam.
first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?